My parents took my car to give my sister a graduation gift, so I left. Now they struggle without the son they threw away. I'm a 22-year-old guy, and I've always known I was just background noise in my own family. You know how some people say, parents don't have favorites? Yeah, that's cute. In my house, it wasn't even subtle. My younger sister Amanda was the sun around which everything revolved, and I was just a planet they forgot to name. She could spill juice on the carpet and be called adorable, while I'd get grounded for forgetting to turn the lights off. I remember getting a B+ in a math class I nearly failed the year before, and all my mom said was, should have been an A. Meanwhile, Amanda brought home a C in biology and got a freaking ice cream cake with "Our Future Doctor" written in blue frosting. I wasn't a bad kid. I kept to myself, did well in school, held a part-time job at a gas station, and never caused trouble. But no matter what I did, it wasn't enough to be seen. Amanda, though? She'd post a picture in a cheerleader outfit and get 300 likes, and my mom would be showing it to every relative like she was accepting a Nobel Prize. When I finally saved up enough to buy my own used car, a slightly dented Honda Civic that smelled faintly of old fries and victory, I thought maybe, just maybe, they'd be proud. That maybe finally I'd done something worth noticing. But all my dad said was, hope you didn't get ripped off. I should have known then. That no matter how hard I worked, how quiet I stayed, or how much I gave, I was always going to be the extra. Still, I kept telling myself it would pay off eventually. That one day they'd wake up and see me. They didn't. And the day they took that car was the day I stopped waiting. That car wasn't just metal and wheels. It was freedom. It was pride. It was mine. I'd spent nearly 3 years stacking paychecks from late-night shifts at the gas station and weekend gigs stocking shelves at a discount store. I skipped hangouts. I packed lunch every day. I wore the same damn sneakers until they had holes in the soles. Every dollar that went into that car came from my own 2 hands. When I finally bought it, a silver 2007 Civic with 140,000 miles, sun-faded paint and a driver's seat that wouldn't recline all the way, I felt like I'd climbed Everest. It had a working radio, decent AC, and for the first time in my life, I didn't have to rely on anyone to get anywhere. I drove it home beaming, not because it was flashy, but because it was earned. Mine. I pulled into the driveway expecting something. A nod, a congrats, maybe even a smile. Instead, my dad didn't even come outside. My mom peeked through the blinds and just said, looks old. Amanda laughed when she saw it and muttered, I thought you were getting something cool. I wanted to say, it is cool, because I worked for it, because nobody gave me a damn thing, but instead, I just swallowed it like I always did. Over the next few weeks, that car became my sanctuary. I cleaned it every Sunday, even waxed the hood once. I'd sit in it after long shifts, music low, windows down, just breathing. Sometimes I imagined driving far, far away, just disappearing, starting over. But I never thought they'd actually take it from me. That level of betrayal? I didn't see it coming. Not like that. Amanda's high school graduation was treated like the coronation of a queen. My mom went full Pinterest mom mode. Satin banners, personalized cupcakes, gold balloons spelling out her name across the backyard fence. My dad rented tables and even hired a photographer, something they didn't even consider for my graduation. For mine, I think they picked up pizza and called it a day. They didn't even invite me to Amanda's party until 2 days before. And even then, it was more like, you'll help set up, right? Not a question. A command. The day of the party. I spent the morning setting up folding chairs, arranging tablecloths, and carrying food trays from the kitchen to the backyard while Amanda did her makeup and posted Instagram stories about her big day. She didn't thank me once. Neither did my parents. The whole house was buzzing with energy, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. I walked past the kitchen and heard my parents talking in hushed voices. Keys are in the drawer already. She's gonna freak out when she sees it. She deserves it, my mom whispered. She's been working so hard. I paused, confused. Keys? A surprise? I thought maybe they had rented her a limo or bought her a used scooter or something. But something in my gut twisted. My dad never had that excited tone unless it involved money, and he'd always been stingy with it. Still, I tried to shake it off. Maybe I was being paranoid. Maybe it was nothing. But as the sun started to set and guests began arriving, that gut feeling only got worse. Everyone was too smiley, too performative. Like they were all in on something, and me? I was just the help. That night I had no idea that the surprise Amanda was getting was mine. The next morning I woke up to an eerie kind of silence. No backyard cleanup chaos. No leftover chatter. Just stillness. I stretched, yawned, and looked out my bedroom window, and that's when I noticed it. My parking spot, the one I always used, right by the curb, was empty. At first, I thought maybe my dad moved my car to make room for guests. But the more I looked, the more that awful hollow panic set in. My keys were still in my jeans. No one had asked me. No one said anything. I grabbed my phone and called my mom. She picked up on the third ring, chipper and bright. "Oh, hey, honey. Where's my car?" I asked. There was a pause. Then laughter. "Oh, don't be dramatic. We gave it to Amanda this morning." She cried. It was so sweet. My stomach dropped. "You gave it to her?" "She needs it more than you do," she said casually, like we were talking about sharing leftovers. I couldn't believe it. They gave away my car. The one I bought with my own money. The one I worked years to afford. Just handed it off like it was a spare jacket lying around. My mom went on, almost annoyed. "You can take the bus, it's better for the environment. And Amanda has cheer practice and classes, she can't rely on rides. She doesn't even have a license." I snapped. "She'll get one soon," she said, brushing it off. "This is a family, we share. Don't be selfish," my chest was pounding. I couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe, and the worst part? They'd already transferred the registration, used some family friend at the DMV to do it behind my back. It wasn't just betrayal, it was theft, and they were smiling through it. I stormed into the kitchen, still clutching my phone, my hands shaking so hard I nearly dropped it. My dad was at the table reading the paper like nothing had happened. Amanda was scrolling through her phone, her brand new keys dangling from a pink lanyard around her wrist. "You gave her my car?" My voice cracked louder than I wanted. "You didn't even ask me." Amanda looked up and smirked. "Wow, relax. It's just a car. You can get another one." My dad didn't even look up from his paper. "She needs it more than you do. Don't start an argument first thing in the morning. It's mine," I shouted. "I paid for it. Every dollar. Do you even hear yourselves?" Amanda rolled her eyes. "Selfish much? You can take the bus. Or Uber. Stop acting like you're the victim here." My mom wandered in from the hallway with a mug of coffee. "We're a family, we share. This isn't a big deal." "You're making it dramatic." I felt heat crawling up my neck, a mix of rage and disbelief. "It's not sharing when you take something without permission and hand it off like it's yours?" Amanda laughed, an ugly, mocking sound. "God, you're so bitter. No wonder nobody likes being around you." My dad finally looked up, his expression flat. "That's enough. This conversation's over. Be grateful your sister's doing something with her life." I stood there, my throat tight, my fists clenched, realizing in that moment that no amount of yelling would make them see me. Something inside me snapped. I turned, went to my room, and started silently packing a duffel bag. If they wanted to treat me like I didn't exist, then fine. I'd disappear for real. I didn't slam doors. I didn't make a scene. I just zipped my duffel bag and looked around my room one last time. The peeling posters, the creaky dresser I'd dragged in from a curb sale, the bed I'd grown up in. All the years of trying to be good and useful stared back at me like a bad joke. I left a note on my nightstand. "Don't worry about me. You've already made it clear where I stand. That was all. No guilt trips. No begging. Just the truth." When I walked down the hallway with my bag slung over my shoulder, my mom was in the kitchen humming to herself. Amanda was sprawled on the couch, tapping at her phone. Nobody even looked up. Not a single "where are you going?" Not a "what's in the bag?" That silence said everything. I stepped out the front door into the crisp morning air. The world felt huge and sharp, like it might swallow me whole. The gravel crunched under my shoes as I walked past the empty spot where my car used to be. The sun hit my face, warm and blinding. I blinked hard, trying not to cry. I didn't have a plan. Just a friend across town who'd once said, "If you ever need a place even for a week, hit me up." So I did. By that night, I was sleeping on a worn-out futon in his studio apartment, listening to the city hum through a cracked window. It wasn't freedom yet. It was survival. But even in that cramped room, surrounded by secondhand furniture and the smell of burnt coffee, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. I wasn't invisible. For the first time, I belonged to myself. Those first few months away were rough. The futon sagged in the middle, and the radiator hissed all night like it was angry at me. I ate instant noodles, lived out of my duffel bag, and worked double shifts at a warehouse just to cover rent. Every time I got off the bus, my back ached and my hands smelled like cardboard and sweat. But it was mine. My work, my nights, my exhaustion, mine. Nobody called. Nobody texted. Not once did my mom ask where I was or if I was okay. Amanda never even tried to gloat. Their silence was a confirmation, like a stamp. You were never really part of us. At first it stung like hell. Then it just became fuel. I opened a small savings account and started putting away everything I could. Nights off, I'd sit on my friend's cracked vinyl couch scrolling through job listings, my thumb hovering over apply. I signed up for online courses, accounting basics, digital marketing, anything that might open a door. I started lifting at a cheap gym down the street, headphones in, sweat dripping, imagining all the words they'd thrown at me. Selfish, dramatic, bitter, dissolving with every rep. By the time a year had passed, I had a steady office job, a little more money in the bank, and a cheap but reliable car again. Not flashy, but better than before. I even managed to rent my own small studio. It smelled like new paint and freedom. Still, late at night, sitting by the window with a mug of tea, I'd wonder if they even noticed I was gone. If they ever regretted it. But the more my life expanded, the less their absence felt like a wound. It started to feel like a choice. It happened on a random Tuesday night. I was sitting at my tiny kitchen table, laptop open, half reading an article for one of my online classes, when my phone buzzed. The screen lit up with a name I hadn't seen in over a year. Amanda. For a second, I thought it had to be a mistake. But there it was, a DM from her Instagram. The little preview read, "Hey, can we talk?" I stared at it, heart hammering. My thumb hovered over the notification, but I didn't open it right away. After everything she'd done, after the smirks, the insults, the way she swung those keys like a trophy, she suddenly wanted to talk? Finally, I swiped it open. "Hey, I know things got weird. I just wanted to say I'm sorry for how it all went down. Maybe we could meet up for coffee sometime. I really miss my big brother." The words should have felt good. They didn't. They felt off, polished, like she was rehearsing lines for an audience. I didn't reply. 2 days later, a text from my mom popped up. "Hi, honey. We're having dinner this weekend. Come home. Let's talk." I sat there staring at my phone, a sick feeling creeping into my stomach. They hadn't reached out once when I was sleeping on a futon, barely scraping by. But now, out of the blue, both Amanda and my mom were trying to reel me back in. Something was wrong. I could feel it, like the air before a storm, so I did nothing. I left the messages unanswered and kept living my life. But I started watching, waiting. Because whatever was coming next, I knew it wasn't just an apology. I didn't have to wait long to find out why they'd really reached out. A week later, a mutual friend from high school sent me a screenshot of Amanda's Facebook page. She'd posted a cryptic rant about people abandoning family when times get tough, and how some of us have real responsibilities now. The comments were full of sympathy, people telling her she was so strong. Then, a different friend messaged me late one night. "Dude, did you hear about your sister's car?" No, I hadn't. Apparently, Amanda had been driving my old Civic without a valid license, crashed it into a parking lot pole after a night out, and completely wrecked the front end. Insurance wouldn't cover the full damage because the registration was shady, technically still linked to me through old records. My parents were now staring down. Thousands of dollars in repairs and fees was like watching a slow-motion train wreck from a distance. Scrolled through Amanda's feed and saw the signs of a meltdown, vague posts about haters and fake friends, fewer pictures of parties, more late-night tweets about being so tired. Even her once-perfect hair in photos looked unkempt. Through mutual contacts, I learned she'd dropped out of college for the semester and was still unemployed. My parents, meanwhile, were paying for everything: repairs, living expenses, bailouts. It hit me then. The golden child narrative was cracking. The perfect facade they'd built around Amanda was starting to rot. And yet, instead of reaching out to apologize, they were trying to drag me back in, to fix it, to be their silent workhorse again. I sat on my bed, phone in hand, staring at their unanswered messages. For the first time in my life, the guilt wasn't on me. It was on them, and I wasn't going back. It was a slow Thursday afternoon at the dealership where I worked as a service advisor. The phones were quiet, the smell of motor oil and cheap coffee hung in the air, and I was halfway through organizing parts orders when I heard the front door chime. I looked up, and my stomach dropped. It was them. My mom walked in first, clutching her purse like it was a life vest. Her makeup was smudged, eyes puffy. My dad trailed behind her, thinner than I remembered, gray creeping through his hair. He looked tired, beaten. They scanned the room until their eyes landed on me. My mom's face lit up like she'd just found a lost puppy. "There you are," she said softly, stepping forward. "We've been trying to reach you." I stood frozen behind the counter. The entire staff had gone quiet. I could feel the eyes of coworkers flicking between me and the scene unfolding. "What are you doing here?" I asked, keeping my voice level. "We just wanted to talk," my dad said. His voice wasn't commanding like before, it was brittle. "We miss you. Your mom cries every night, Amanda. She's struggling. We didn't know things would go so wrong." I blinked at them. That was the apology? "I'm at work," I said coldly. "You can't just show up here like everything's fine." My mom reached for my hand across the counter. I stepped back. "You don't get to pretend we're family now," I said, voice low but firm. "Not after what you did." They stood there, stunned. No more rehearsed lines. No more smiles. Just silence. I turned and walked to the back office without another word. My hands were shaking. My chest felt like it might explode. It wasn't satisfying. It wasn't dramatic, it was just sad. And for the first time, I wasn't the one feeling small. After that surprise visit, I expected another wave of messages, guilt trips, maybe even a proper apology. But instead, silence. I guess once they realized I wasn't coming home to play savior, they gave up. Or maybe they just didn't know how to reach me anymore. The version of me they knew didn't exist now. That version would have come running. Through the grapevine, mostly from my aunt, who always liked to stir the pot, I started hearing things. Amanda still didn't have a job. She'd tried working retail for a month, but quit after arguing with her manager. My parents were running dry, footing her bills and still paying off the car she wrecked. My mom's hair salon hours had been cut, and my dad's buddy who got him side gigs had moved out of state. No more backdoor favors. No more shortcuts. The house I used to call home was slowly turning into a pressure cooker. Amanda was snapping at them daily, locked in her room most of the time. They were fighting constantly. My mom even called my aunt crying, saying she felt like everything was falling apart. My aunt, bless her messy soul, told her flat out, "You drove your son away. What did you expect?" I should have felt vindicated. I guess part of me did, but more than anything, it just made me feel tired. Exhausted even, because all those years of being the quiet one, the helpful one, the invisible one, that was the glue. And when I left, everything else unraveled. I didn't say a word. I didn't lift a finger. And still the cracks deepened. They never noticed how much I held together. But now, without me, they were learning the hard way. I was on my second cup of coffee, bleary-eyed and staring at my inbox when the email came through. Subject: "We'd love to interview you. Let's talk next steps." It was from a startup I'd applied to months ago, one of those long-shot applications I sent late at night while half believing nothing would come of it. But here it was, not just an interview offer, but a full-time position, remote, competitive pay, benefits, a team that wanted someone who hustled and learned on their own. Someone like me. I got the job and suddenly my whole life shifted gears. I left the dealership, signed a lease on a newer apartment in the city, and upgraded my car. Not fancy, but sleek and reliable. I bought real groceries. I got a proper desk. I even booked a weekend trip with friends, something I hadn't done since high school. I was 22, and finally living like I mattered. Sometimes, I'd catch myself glancing in mirrors or storefront reflections and not recognizing the man staring back. Sharper jawline, clearer eyes, posture that didn't fold inward like it used to. No more holding my breath around people waiting to be dismissed, and the irony? I hadn't spoken a single word to my parents or Amanda during any of it. They had no idea who I'd become. They still probably imagined me struggling, bitter, stuck in some dingy apartment licking old wounds. But I was winning. Quietly. Fully. Completely. Every time I clicked transfer on my savings account or cooked dinner in my tiny but sunlit kitchen, it felt like a silent rebellion. Not flashy. Not angry, just proof. Proof that I never needed their permission to succeed. The voicemail came just after midnight. My phone buzzed on the nightstand, and for a second I thought about ignoring it like I usually did. But something told me to listen. It was my mom. Her voice cracked from the start. "Honey, please. I miss you. This family," she paused to breathe. "We've made mistakes, but family shouldn't fall apart like this. Amanda's not doing well. Your dad's blood pressure's through the roof. Can't we just talk?" She ended with, "You're still my son." I sat in the dark for a while, staring at the ceiling. That line hit harder than I expected, not because it was touching, but because it was too late. She'd called me selfish when I asked for basic respect. She'd watched my sister take everything from me and laughed. Now, when they were drowning in consequences, suddenly, I mattered again? A few days later, Amanda posted a passive-aggressive essay on Facebook, the kind of dramatic woe-is-me post she'd mastered. Some people forget who loved them when they were nobody. They turn their backs and pretend they're better. It's sad, really. The comments were a mix of supportive friends and nosy relatives. Some tagged me directly. One even DM'd me with, "You should go home. Blood is blood." Funny how no one said that when I was eating stale ramen and taking 2 buses to work. I scrolled through the messages. I didn't respond. I didn't need to defend myself because I was no longer trying to explain to people who were committed to misunderstanding me. I wasn't the bitter son anymore. Was the son who finally knew peace and no Facebook. Rant or teary voicemail could shake that. It was my cousin Sarah's wedding, one of the few. Family events I couldn't dodge without causing a stir. She'd always been good to me growing up, the one cousin who didn't talk down or whisper behind my back. So I went. I wore a fitted navy suit I'd thrifted and tailored months ago, and for once I walked into a family gathering not feeling like a shadow. I was early, confident, grounded, and then I saw them. My mom froze the moment she spotted me. Her lips parted slightly like she couldn't decide if she should smile or cry. My dad gave me a stiff nod. Amanda was sitting at a table near the back, chewing on a straw and pretending not to see me. But I felt the air shift. Heads turned. Whispers started. I avoided them most of the evening, talking with cousins, catching up with people who didn't ask loaded questions. But then, during dessert, someone, I think it was my Uncle Greg, clinked his glass and shouted across the table, "Hey! There's our golden boy. Look at you. Fancy now, huh?" The whole table went quiet. All eyes on me, I smiled, lifted my glass and said calmly, "I don't need to be golden. I just go where I'm respected." Amanda's chair screeched as she stood and walked out, her heels clicking hard against the floor. My mom's eyes glossed over. My dad looked down at his plate. That one line cut deeper than any insult I could have thrown. It wasn't angry. It wasn't petty. It was just true. And the best part? I wasn't shaking. I wasn't sweating. I wasn't trying to earn their approval. I was just me, whole, unbothered, and they couldn't do a damn thing about it. I left the wedding before the bouquet toss, slipped out through the side door with a polite wave to Sarah and her new husband, who both gave me real smiles, the kind that didn't feel forced. Outside, the night air was cool and quiet, the hum of distant traffic blending with soft laughter from the reception tent. I walked to my car slowly, hands in my pockets, feeling not triumphant, not angry, just done. For years, I thought closure would come in some big, dramatic showdown, yelling, crying, someone finally admitting they were wrong. But standing there under the streetlights, I realized closure wasn't a moment. It was a choice. They would never really apologize. Not the way I wanted. They'd never say you were right. We failed you, and that was okay. I didn't need it anymore. The boy who begged to be seen, who overachieved just to be acknowledged, who silently swallowed disappointment after disappointment, he didn't live here anymore. I had walked through fire, and on the other side, found peace. Not revenge. Not validation. Just peace. I didn't block their numbers. I didn't delete old photos. I just stopped holding my breath for people who only noticed me when they needed something. That night, driving home with the windows cracked and a soft playlist humming through the speakers, I felt something new. Not pride, not bitterness, just freedom. And for someone like me, who grew up feeling like a ghost in his own home, freedom is the loudest, most powerful kind of closure. They didn't throw me away. I walked away, and I never looked back. It's funny how silence becomes your favorite sound when you've spent your whole life shouting just to be heard. Now, every morning I wake up in my own place. I'm no yelling, no guilt trips, no backhanded compliments, just peace. I make my own coffee, sit by the window as the sun pours in, and I breathe. The car they gave away, it's long gone. Probably totaled or scrapped for parts. But I've got a new one now. Paid in full. No one else's name on the title. Sometimes I drive past my old neighborhood just to remind myself how far I've come. The house looks the same. Same cracked driveway, same porch light that flickers like it's begging to be replaced. But it doesn't feel like home anymore. It feels like a memory I outgrew. A few weeks ago, I got a wedding invite from a distant cousin. The return address had my parents' names in the corner. I didn't open it. I didn't need to, because if I show up now, they'll look at me and see everything they lost. They'll see the son they underestimated, the one they belittled, ignored, and used. And I'll be standing there. Not to prove anything, but simply existing, thriving, whole. They took my car like it was a toy to be reassigned. But I took back something way more valuable, my life, my voice. My worth and no one. Not my parents, not Amanda, not the world that tried to tell me I didn't matter. Gets to take that again. I was never just the background character. They just didn't know how to see me. But now they feel the absence of the son they threw away, and they'll never get him back.